Did you know that the North Carolina property disclosure in 2024 is about to change, and it's about to change a lot? So let's dive in to see what actually has changed on the disclosure for the consumers and for us as agents. First of all, the very first page is a bigger explanation of everything that you are going to be filling out as a consumer. They've gotten a lot more detailed on a lot of the questions, so instead of just asking a vague question, they ask a lot of different questions on here. So on the very first page, there a lot of the exact same information. Says what a dwelling is, have you lived in the property, what a buyer should be doing, and things like that. You need to make sure that your sellers and your buyers both are reading over this disclosure and making sure it's filled out correctly and thoroughly. I know it's going to be more of a pain in the butt because we're going to jump into there. All right, so on the very first page of filling out information, you'll see at the very top it asks, is this property owner occupied? It's a new question for you. And then if it isn't owner occupied, when is the last time that the owner actually occupied the property? So that'd be great information for a buyer to be able to know, hey, are they living in this property? Was it a foreclosure, estate sale, whatever it is. You're sort of going to know a lot more information that's in here. If it's a flip property, the owners never occupied the property. Makes a little bit more sense of why somebody would put no representation across the board. But if it is an owner-occupied property and they put no representation across it, they're either doing one or two things. One, they're trying to CYA, or two, they're being lazy. Big red flag if I saw that the property was owner-occupied per the disclosure, and then they just put no representation across the board. Seems a little fishy to me. Next thing up that you're going to notice is they've sort of made the boxes a little bit better representation of everything out here, made it a little bit easier to read as a whole. So the readability is a lot better for the consumers because we expect them to know how to read this thing, how to fill it out immediately. One thing that we do over here is we actually have pictures. So we have a form and they just pop it up and they see, hey, okay, this is what type of plumbing that I have. This is what type of exterior I have. And then that way there's no confusion between hardy board, cement board, asbestos, and everything else. We can sort of show them the examples of everything that's out there. Another big problem off that bonus point is the polybutylene pipes. People read poly, think it's plastic, and then they put that it's a plastic pipe because they don't know what polybutylene means. But as an agent, it's our job and responsibility not only to look over the disclosure, make sure it's right, but to make sure that our clients are filling it out correctly, because I can look underneath the cabinet to see if, oh, there's a gray pipe here. Oh, there's galvanized pipe here. So even if my seller doesn't fill it out correctly, we can do that on our own and say, hey, you missed this. Or, oh, polybutylene, you've got that in here. Yeah, it's an issue, but it's not plastic. Fix this. If not, we're going to get in trouble when it comes time to closing and the buyer's really pissed off when the home inspector says that their pipes need to be replaced or whatever it is. Next thing you're going to notice is on A9. A9's a big difference and starts to show everybody of what's going on. It asks, is there a problem right here? And it actually splits up if there's water seepage, drainage issues, things like that throughout the form itself. It makes life a lot easier and a lot less convoluted of, yeah, there is an issue, there's not an issue, things like that. So A9 actually goes through and asks everything separately and says foundation, slab, patio, floors, windows, doors, ceilings, decks, attached garages, fireplace, chimneys, interior, exterior walls. I'm not sure why they put them together, and other. Are there any problems with those kinds of things? And then you put an explanation at the bottom, just like you would on the previous DDRA. Now, the big difference is they give you a box to write in every single section of this versus the previous one just had a big blank at the end of it to be able to fill out. All right, next thing up is they actually split everything into sections of the major functions of the property. So section B is all about the HVAC and electrical end of things. It asks the exact same questions as previously. Is there any problems, malfunctions, or defects with the dwelling's electrical system, in parentheses, outlets, wiring, panels, switches, fixtures, generators, etc. Right here. Right. And then it asks, is there any problems with the dwelling? Just remember, it says the dwelling. Secondary building, not on here. Ask us if there's any problems with any of those. And then you're going to see where the big changes start to occur. Now, here's one thing that I don't know if they haven't realized that they haven't caught, but the heat and air are totally different. So on here, they put what is the dwelling's heat source, and then it has how many units does it have? Because a lot of times people are putting that it just has AC. Well, what if it has 3 or 4 units and 2 of them are old? Well, you don't know what's going on there. So it has the standard heating question right there on B3. But B4 actually asks what type of cooling does it have, and it asks what the manufacturer date is of your AC unit. Yes, they want you to go outside and look to see what the manufacturer date is. Notice it does not say the install date, because what happens if something's been sitting in the warehouse for 15 years, or if you bought something secondhand and said, oh yeah, that HVAC was just installed last year. Well, guess what? When I looked at it, it says that you bought it, used. Just because you installed it last year doesn't mean that it's last year's model. So that's a big difference that they put out here on the property disclosure agreement. Then it also has, just like I said before, a section of explanation just for HVAC and electrical. I love this fact. I love that it makes it easier for somebody to be able to explain yeah, this unit's broken, this one works, or this is how many units I have and how long it's been installed. So it'd be great for any kind of information off of that. Now, Section C is all due about water. So Section C is all about plumbing, septic, sewer, all the fun stuff that we need for water. Like the Mario Brothers. So it asks the exact same questions as it has in the past of what's your water source? And then it has a new question on there of the testing of wells. Previously, we didn't have this question explained out, but it's asked, has there been any well testing done? And if so, was it the quality, the pressure, or the quantity? And then if so, when was the last date that it was tested as a well? And this will help out a consumer right there of being able to say, hey, yeah, that's a brand new well pump that we put in here and everything's working great. We've got great pressure. Everything's good to go. So the only other really new question off of here is, what is the fuel source for the water heater? Yes, it asks that question. The only other really new question per se is it asks what the heat source is for the water heater itself and the manufacturer date of your water heater. So it's going to be great information for our buyers to be a lot more aware of what's going on. It's going to take a little bit longer for your clients of sellers and listing agents to be able to fill out all this information. And hopefully they will actually put all this information in there. Hopefully. I digress. The other end of things that they actually have changed is on C5. It separates everything out and says, is there any defects, malfunctions, problems with septic, sewer, plumbing system, water supply? And then again, underneath it, it has the explanation if you need to explain anything about the plumbing issues of it. It makes my life a heck of a lot easier of explaining things to a buyer or a potential buyer. All right, and here's where the big changes actually occur. In Section D is where a lot of the big changes are actually occurring. It asks about fixtures and appliances. So it asks about elevators. Out on the coast, there was nothing out there that was saying anything about elevators. We don't have very many homes with elevators here in the Triad or anywhere outside of the coast because we're not building everything on stilts waiting for global warming. I digress. But anyways, we don't have a lot of that. So it actually does it have an elevator, and when's the last time it was inspected by an elevator service person or whatnot, and is there any issues with it? Then it separates all the questions about the appliances. All right, so another big change is on question 19 on the previous disclosure was just one long sentence of, is all this crap actually broken? But now they have broken it down into separate sections so we can get a little bit more detailed information and not scare the crap out of the consumers. So it says, are there any malfunctions, defects, or problems with the dwellings? And then it goes into attic fan, exhaust fan, ceiling fans. That's one question. The elevator system, yeah. I don't know who still has the appliances to be conveyed. So if you have, let's just say an oven that has a burner that's out and you know the burner was out, well, guess what? Now you are going to have to put that on there. Yeah, it asked it on the other one if there's any problems, but you'd be like, no, there's no problem. I can still just use the other three. Your irrigation systems, your hot tubs, your spas, your TV cable wiring and satellite dishes. I don't know who's still wiring a TV in. Go get you a Ruco box and Fire Stick. Anyway, your sump pumps, your gas logs, your central vac, your garage door, your security system, and other. Now, what happens if you don't have those? Well, guess what? They have an NA box too. So you have 4 different options off of it. You've got NA, yes, no, and no representation. No representation should only be if you don't actually know if there's anything going on with any of it. Like, there's a central vac in here. I haven't used it since I bought the property from somebody else, and I just never used it. So I put no representation. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it doesn't work. And then again, Section D has its own explanation box. So it's extremely much longer of a document. It looks a lot more daunting, but instead it's just got a lot more explanation spots and makes things a heck of a lot easier to read. All right, Section E is all about land and zoning. So it asks pretty much the exact same questions that they had before. It's a little bit easier to read. So let's just go ahead and point out E3. And it was on the previous one. I just see a lot of people who would not ever go about their business off of that. But it asks, is the property any violations of building codes, including failure to obtain permits for room additions or changes/improvements? So if you're doing a flip house and you ain't put a permit, you put in a new bathroom, you changed out your vanity, you added some electrical, you didn't pull permits, guess what? You're gonna have to click yes on there and then explain it at the bottom in that nice little section. You need to explain these things, if not you're gonna get your butt sued quick, fast, in a hurry right now. I can promise you of that. Go look at the Real Estate Commission's naughty list that comes out every month and you'll see a lot of people that are not disclosing, not pulling permits. I digress. So F is all about environmental and flooding. Flooding is the biggest part that they actually added into here. The same kind of styling of questions of everything else that they have right here, but now that they have added everything about, is the property located in a federal or other designated flood hazard zone? That's F5. F6 has the property experienced damage due to flooding, water seepage, pooled water attributes to a natural event such as heavy rainfall, coastal storm surge, and river overflow, things like that. So this is all new. F7, have you ever filed a claim for flood damage to the property with the insurance provided, including FEMA? 8, is there currently flood insurance policy covering the property? Yeah, it's a big deal right now. And then 9, have you ever received assistance from FEMA? 10, is there a flood certification for the property, whether it's FEMA or someone else? So these are really big because a lot of people were buying properties that were in flood zones, not realizing how much more the insurance rate was going to be on that property and how much the insurance rates has increased over the past year for all these kinds of situations, and it sometimes is more than the actual mortgage. So this is really new and really cool for buyers. It's going to protect a lot of buyers from a lot of headaches of going under contract and then finding out whenever you call your insurance agent, hey, I need to get insurance on this property. Oh, it's in a flood zone. You're going to have this, that, and the other. Great news for us. All right, everything else is pretty much the exact same, just a little bit different kind of layout. All right, so Section G is just the miscellaneous end of things, and it's about if there's any foreclosures, bankruptcies, subject to a rental agreement, any restrictive covenants on the property. It's okay, it's all about the exact same. It's just got an explanation box at the bottom of it for you. The only other difference on the very last page is Section H, and H is quite a bit different, and I can't quite figure out why they did this, but they took out a lot of the questions from the Homeowners Association of what is the Homeowners Association in charge of. So previously it asked all kinds of questions of like, is the Homeowners Association have a master insurance plan? Are they in charge of the signage outside, mowing? If it has lights going down the street, are they in charge of all those? So it has all these questions. So the Real Estate Commission took out all of 38, which is huge. It had everything what the actual HOA was in charge of and responsible for. So whether it was the exterior of the property, if there's a master insurance policy, the street lights, the street, water, sewer, all that fun stuff, what the HOA might be in charge of or included in your HOA fees is no longer on the new one. I don't know why they dumbed that down and took it off. Heck, you're already at, 6 pages? You might as well go ahead and add another one and put it back in there. So now, as a list agent, you probably want to take the old disclosure and put that in on a Word document of your own and say, hey, these are other things that are covered by the HOA. Because right now, the 2024 property disclosure form only has how much it is, who's in charge, and the name of the HOAs, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and then you can explain down at the bottom of it. So I hope that helps everybody out. I'm sure I've missed a couple things here or there that have changed on here. So if I have, let me know so I can be able to inform our agents over here of even more stuff, and be glad to explain any other contracts that are being changed in 2024 here in North Carolina. And I hope that helps everybody out.